quite unreasonable to go live at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning my time. I'm sick of doing that to y'all. So I have committed myself to showing up and being here for you at a reasonable time of day. So yeah, you can start seeing me like in the morning or early, late afternoon. But there's still gonna be daylight outside when I go live. So let's see what's happened.
Trump.
Quite a bit. First, you've got Nick Fuentes, that asshole, Kanye's bestie, saying that he is willing to do some very untoward things, break one of the Ten Commandments on behalf of Orangeman.
Cultist. I am a soldier for Donald Trump. I serve at the personal pleasure of Donald Trump, my supreme leader. I am the Praetorian
He's not being sarcastic, by the way. Like, this is what this guy actually believes.
guard of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump ordered me to do,
And you have to like, this guy really isn't that bright, because like if you look at how Trump has treated his stance, like he basically let all the people from the Capitol go to jail. He amped these people up. He encouraged them to break federal laws, and then he went right on to leave them in the lurch. So Trump is not a good friend. Trump is not a good boss. Trump is not a good supreme leader. If you get in trouble, he will leave you out to dry. He won't even mention you. But he still has stands because he, like a comrade of mine described him uh several years ago as being white America's id. And that honestly is the best description of him that I've ever seen. Donald Trump is white America's id.
an extrajudicial killing, I would perform it.
This guy. You just watch.
I don't see. I mean, yeah, it's absurd. Like if you had come to a political wonk, like I don't know, in 2009, 2010, like back then, Donald Trump was a joke. Okay, like he was the guy that was running around saying that the president of the United States, Barack Obama, wasn't even born here. Like that was how Donald Trump came to political political attention in the last decade by denying the citizenship and the natural American birth of the country's first black president. So like if you had said that this guy would end up being president, that there would be a huge violent mass movement around this guy, people would have laughed at you. But who's laughing now? That's why, like, when shit like this is happening, and people who've gone through this shit in other countries have said, hey, this guy is fucking dangerous. Like, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. These people know what they're talking about. And what did we see during Trump's first term? What are we going to see during Trump's second term? Mass fascist riots in the streets, storming the Capitol. Tens of thousands of people dead, Americans dead. More racist rhetoric. Is Biden any better? Not really. It depends on what metric you're looking at. To the Palestinian people, it's all a fucking shit show. It's all a fucking shit show. That's why, like, well, for one, I'm a Maoist. Maoists don't vote for people unless we're like really, really, really down. Or like local and state, that's fine because that shit actually has. You could actually like, you could actually sway that shit. I live in Missouri. Missouri is a red state, okay? Even if I was inclined to vote for Joe Biden, it wouldn't make any difference. I live in St. Louis. St. Louis, Columbia, Springfield, potentially in Kansas City. Those are the like blue city states in an otherwise red fiefdom. We're not going to sway Missouri for Biden, even if we were inclined to vote for the asshole. Which, as a leftist, as a Marxist Leninist Maoist, as somebody who's done the fucking reading, I'm not.
Self-avowed white supremacist Nick Fuentes state that he would commit murder on Donald Trump's behalf. That's especially appalling when you consider Trump knows Fuentes, having dined with him in 2022.
Yeah, Kanye brought him to Trump's house.
But of course, has yet to condemn Fuentes' comments because expecting the tiniest modicum of decency from the Orange Menace coming to ruin our democracy and our...
If he is Trump's Praetorian Guard, he should redact Trump, very much like Praetorians killed emperors all the time. Yeah, the Praetorian Guard was the kingmaker in the Roman Empire. Maybe we'll be surprised.
Dreams is expecting too much. We'll get to more on the history between Trump and Fuentes in a moment, but first let's watch more of Fuentes' super chill, reasonable remarks.
If he sent me somewhere and said, look, we need to torture Hillary Clinton, theoretically, I wouldn't obviously do that on my own volition, but
yes, you would.
If Donald Trump won the election and Donald Trump called me on a secret burner phone and he said, look, we have to capture and no, we can't go there. We actually can't go there. But if Donald Trump called me up and said,
yeah, he knows what he's throwing. He's throwing out these dog whistles. Like he's basically saying, you know what, Trump's my boy. And I am going to commit gratuitous acts of violence on his behalf.
Look, we need to capture my political enemies and torture them. You're okay with that, right? This is totally off the books.
He's basically auditioning for a role in the SS.
This is a black op. If he called me up and told me to do it, I would...
oh, he's not LARPing. He's not joking. He's serious.
I would be like, sir, yes, Mr. I wouldn't even say, yes, Mr. President. I would say, it will be done. I would say, it will be done, Supreme Leader. I would say something like that. I wouldn't even say, yes, sir. I would say, it will be I would say, it will be done, Supreme Leader. I would be like, it will be done, Supreme Leader Trump. It would be something like that.
Buy a gun. Learn to use it. That's my advice to you. And get with other people who have guns and know how to use them. Because shit's gonna get bad.
Tens of thousands of people have taken to the...
You've got this fascist party in Germany, Alternative for Deutschland. And they're making some pretty astonishing gains in the electoral sphere. So there was a massive rally in Hamburg against it.
The streets of the German city of Hamburg to protest against the far right.
Hamburg. It's Hamburg, not Hamburg. Hamburg.
It follows revelations that members of the Alternative for Germany party held a secret meeting to discuss the mass deportation of immigrants and German citizens of foreign origin. The AfD is under domestic surveillance in several German states, and there have been calls to...
This is one thing that the Germans are good at, whether it be the fucking Gestapo or it be the Stasi. They're really, really good at spying on people. They're really, really good at repression. Ask what they've been doing to Kurds and to Palestinians.
Ban the party.
Like, I think there's just some, like, innate German urge to get on some fascist shit. Whether it be supposedly progressive or whether it be, like, fascist shit. But, like, I don't know. Like, these people have to be controlled. We need Kraut control. We need the Turks to take over Germany and manage it. We need a Vilayet of Deutschland.
Entirely.
Are those hamburgers rallying? Yes, and they're upsetting my stomach.
The streets of
I was referring to food. Oh, look at all those fucking people.
Hamburg overflowing with protesters, giving voice to the post-war German...
German and fucking... German and Dutch are like the two most hilarious languages like I've ever seen. And I know as an English speaker, I'm basically speaking a dialect of German. But it just looks funny. Look at this.
Promise of never again to right-wing extremism.
Yeah, they also have these like anti-Deutsche people there who are like Zionists. Like they literally rally with Israeli flags. Very weird. I don't know if it's some like lingering guilt over the Holocaust. And yes, Germans should feel guilty about the Holocaust. That was a horrible, horrible thing that was committed by the people. But like, why are you rallying with Zionist flags? Very confused people. That's what I said. The Turks should take over and govern Germany as a vilayet until they're able to settle their own affairs without killing millions of people.
I'm actually demonstrating for the first time in my life. I myself find it threatening. I know stories from the Nazi era from my grandfather, and I don't
really, which side was your grandfather on?
Want that to happen again.
Protests erupted after it emerged that Alternative for Germany members and neo-Nazis met to discuss plans to deport millions of people with migrant roots, including German citizens. The party's leadership has tried to distance itself from the so-called master plan. But the revelation has sparked nationwide outrage, even prompting Chancellor Olaf Scholz to join a protest in his hometown of Potsdam. He said the plan for mass deportations should send a shiver down people's spines.
Germans are insufferable because they have a holier-than-thou attitude when it comes to talking about genocide, which is fucking wild. That's Europeans in general. Like, these people are responsible for the most massive pile of corpses in human history, I think Abi Cesare said. And, like, they're always quick to jump in and condemn Americans. And, yeah, Americans should be condemned. But, like, remove the board from your own eye, bruh. Like, the Brits, the French, the Germans. Hell, even the Scandinavians aren't clear 100%. The Italians... all of these fucking people, millions of people died because of them. And here they are acting as if they're all righteous and just because they have free healthcare or socialized healthcare, because they have good schools, and because they don't have a mass shooting every fucking day, or because they have a dope free train system or a cheap train system that gets you all over the place. They act like they're so much better. It's still built with blood, bruh. Your colonies were just external. Our colonies were internal.
I'm saying it clearly.
During Yugoslavia times, communists had the pictures of West German politicians who were once part of the Schutzstaffel and used these pictures for extortion based.
And bluntly, right-wing extremists are attacking our...
Why does every German male politician look like this? Like, there's not a humorous bone in this man's body. Yeah, fascist bad. Yeah, we must march, we must rally. We cannot let this happen again. Support Israel.
Democracy. They want to destroy our cohesion. At a secret conference, these extremists discussed how they could expel millions of people from our...
Zionist extremism is good. Don't get me wrong. But any other form of extremism will not be tolerated. It will be smashed with robotic and extreme force.
Country.
And it's no empty threat. Polling shows the party in second place, a worry for many ahead of state elections this year. More demonstrations are planned for the weekend, as calls to ban the party entirely grow louder and louder.
I'm now joined by DW's political correspondent Thomas Sparrow in our studio.
Thomas Sparrow. Asylum seekers are stranded along the border wall in Sasabe, Arizona.
This is
No more des, no más muertes. They do very good work. Humanitarian work. Yeah, very good humanitarian work. And there's like a lot of shit you can do to help them out. Hold on. See, you can donate supplies, donate money. You can volunteer to help out. You got the Desert Aid Volunteer Program. And maintain a year-round humanitarian presence in the borderlands of southern Arizona. We work in remote corridors where the prevention through deterrence policy has pushed migration routes, hiking the trails, and leaving water, food, socks, blankets, and other supplies. Under the direction of our medical team, volunteers provide emergency first aid treatment to individuals in distress. As a Desert Aid volunteer, you will work alongside trained, long-term NMD volunteers, as well as a cohort of new local volunteers. You will primarily be volunteering in southern Arizona during supply drops in remote areas, as well as helping to maintain a consistent presence at our 24/7 humanitarian aid camp. They have an application process, but yeah, it's really good work. And this, of course, is directly because of the atrocious policies of our government. You have people that are dying of dehydration, that are dying of exhaustion and exertion, and in many cases are drowning. And this is particularly important around Texas because Texas, it seems to be adamant about defying the authority of the federal government and pursuing an even more inhumane migration policy than we already have at the national level. So if you're in the border, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Southern California, join up with No More Debts, No Más Muertes, and help them out. If you're not around the border, send them some money. U.S. border policy has intentionally funneled migration into vast stretches of remote and dangerous terrain. Why? Because they want these people to die. Like, you don't have to round up people and put them in camps to make them die. You don't have to shoot people to make them die. You can just throw them out to the fucking desert, block off all the amenable and decent ways to get into this country, albeit illegally. But honestly, I support the slogan, "We didn't cross the border crossed us." Most, like, these migrants are indigenous to these continents, and they've been going back and forth against across these arbitrary borders for millennia. So who the fuck are we, the United States, just come and throw up walls and say that they can't come here anymore? It doesn't work. You can't stop the fucking butterflies. You can't stop the fucking people. The people are going to keep coming. Honestly, I would just tear the motherfucker down tomorrow. When seeking help, people crossing the border are faced with a discriminatory 911 system. Like, imagine trying to walk across this shit. It's not just the heat. You got snakes, you got coyotes, you got cougars, mountain lions, all sorts of dangerous creatures and stuff like this. Like, there's undoubtedly bodies in areas like this that have never been found. Like, people in Mexico or Guatemala or Honduras are looking for their people that came up here to make a buck or two, because we've turned their countries into the living hell with NAFTA and all that shit. It's hard to make a living down there. Never mind all of the coups that we've tried to carry out. Like, they just tried to carry out one in Guatemala. Thankfully, it did not succeed. So we made these countries a living hell. They're coming up here trying to make a buck and remit a few dollars back to their family to give them something to live off of. And they came up here and they didn't even make it all the way. They ended up dying in the middle of the fucking desert in Arizona. Instead of sending a search and rescue team, counties transfer undocumented callers to Border Patrol. That's unbelievably fucked up. A new report by Number of Deaths of La Coalición de Derechos Humanos finds that Border Patrol regularly fails to respond to search and rescue emergencies. That's criminal negligence. Keep in mind also that human trafficking is a thing, not just for labor purposes, but also for sex trafficking reasons. Like, a fucking bad person could find a woman or a group of women walking through the desert and just snatch them up and fix it so that they'll never be found. So, yeah, extremely dangerous situation, and it's all because of Border Patrol. Okay, so they've got a political line. We will only begin to see justice when we demilitarize the border and decriminalize migration. I agree. So they're not just a support group. They're not just a mutual aid group. They're not just a charity. They're a political organization. So yeah, if you're down there, or even if you're not down there, throw up some aid. They need it.
Bryce, we're volunteers with No More Deaths, No Más Muertes in southern Arizona. We're a humanitarian aid organization that works to end death and suffering along the U.S.-Mexico border. And we're currently about 20 kilometers east of Sasabe, where a lot of migrants are coming across the U.S.-Mexico border to seek asylum.
For whatever reason, there's been just a huge influx of people coming in this particular spot. It's kind of just started happening in this area east of Sasabay, and it's a particularly dangerous situation here just because it's so unbelievably remote. You're many miles from any kind of help.
Yeah, like there's a town nowhere in sight. Like, that's crazy. Like, imagine because of your own cruelty, forcing people to walk across this shit. Like, you can fucking drop dead out here and nobody will know shit. Nobody will ever even find you. Like, who comes to places like this? The coyotes and shit and the cougars will eat your body up. They might find a finger, or they might find a thigh bone or something, but they'll never find you as whole. And this is fucking horrible. And it's all on purpose. This can be stopped.
It's created a really deadly and dangerous situation, which usually happens. It happens all the time when people are like trying to be clandestine and walk through the desert, which is usually the demographic of people that our organization is doing work with. But what we're seeing now is segregation and 911 calls with asylum seekers, where 911, like Bryce said, doesn't respond.
Africa should cooperate with whoever its people determine can cut it a better deal. Like, I'm not suggesting autarky. I'm not suggesting that they wall themselves off entirely from the world economy, because that's stupid. But I do encourage people to stop seeing China as some sort of proletarian revolutionary or proletarian international state, and instead start seeing it as a very cynical and ruthless, just like the U.S., geopolitical and imperialist actor. But I believe that African countries should cooperate. Well, first of all, I believe that Africa should unite, both economically and politically. All these arbitrarily drawn colonial borders are no good. They've led to wars, they've led to genocides and all sorts of other nasty things. But yeah, I definitely think that Africa should seek to cooperate with people who can cut it good deals, and people that enable it to develop. Like, I am not an individual that thinks that Africa should be permanently underdeveloped for Maoist reasons, okay? Like, that continent has suffered enough. The people of Africa deserve to live well off their resources too, and they have the right to sell those resources to whoever the fuck it so chooses. But Wagner Group and these other Russian mercenaries that are running around, or the Chinese or the Americans or the EU, like, these people don't have the best interests of Africa at heart. If Africa did have resources, they would have nothing. Like, nobody would give a fuck. They only give a fuck now because, for one, it's an extremely important geopolitical region of the world. It has the youngest population, it has a growing population, and it has a shitload of natural resources that have been untapped. Like, there's shit in the Congo that they don't even know is there.
Passes us off to Border Patrol, and then Border Patrol also does nothing, which is leaving children and women out in really remote conditions, is leaving children and women and like families, people from all different parts of the world, out in winter desert conditions of temperatures that are freezing.
All this, this crap we put up on a day that was just really rainy and cold. There was like historic rainfall, and there was like nothing here. There was no tents, there was no anything. And our goal was just to
Kwame Nkrumah laid out how United Africa would work. You should read his work.
Sort of keep people alive until Border Patrol could come pick them up. But on that day, Border Patrol just never showed up. So this stuff wasn't meant to last more than just a few hours. But it was just completely full of kids, women. There was a different medical emergency like probably every half hour. It was just this really, really horrible situation in which a lot of people probably could have died. People are coming through the border here to seek asylum. They're not coming out here to in like sort of traditional migration of trying to cross clandestinely through the desert. They're doing what usually you would be able to do by just presenting at a port of entry, and legally you are allowed to do that. But currently people are prevented from presenting for asylum at the port of entry. They're turned back unless they have a CBP1 app appointment, which for a million different reasons is either
Note that this is happening all under the guy that they say is progressive and liberal and they want us to vote for.
difficult or impossible for a lot of people, or often people will be stuck in a dangerous border town for up to a year at a time or more.
Border Patrol is one of the most well-funded.
One of those border towns, Ciudad Juarez, is notorious for femicide. If you watch Narcos, they actually talk about this. But like women are like in their, I think, thousands since the late 70s have been like disappearing and coming up murdered and having a bunch of other horrible things happening to them. Like yeah, these border towns are extremely dangerous. You've got the cartels operating down there. The cartels are seeking to get people to smuggle shit into the country, and if you don't do what they tell you, they're just going to kill you and maybe even kill your entire family if they live nearby, and do a bunch of other horrible things. So yeah, these are not safe places.
Federal agencies and has every resource to like avert this crisis, and they're the ones like continuing to like worsen it. We are a handful of humanitarian aid groups and people pulling at any strand we have within like our community, within Tucson and outside of Tucson, to try to mitigate some harm. And if like we can get our ragged asses together to do that, Border Patrol can sure as hell like avoid people from dying along this wall. So
yeah. Instead,
Border Patrol doesn't give a shit about people dying.
They're using all their resources to put these little stupid cease and desist letters on all these little tents. It's absolutely.
It's not even in fucking Spanish. It says, it has come to the attention of U.S. Border Patrol Tucson sector that you have placed tents and other temporary shelters directly along the international boundary fence and on the border road near the Tres Boyetas Ranch, east of Saspe, Arizona. Among other concerns, the presence of the tents and temporary shelters is a safety concern for anyone in or around the tents or temporary shelters, as vehicles traverse the border road for the routine business of the government at all hours of the day. Furthermore, the tents and shelters obstruct necessary sight lines for operations, creating added safety concerns of who may be south of the boundary fence or hiding within them. The fence and the border road are controlled by the federal government and operated by U.S. Border Patrol, which has not authorized your presence in this area nor your placing of tents and shelters in this area. You are hereby requested to come to cease and desist from maintaining, placing, assisting with placement, or otherwise constructing tents and shelters of any kind along the boundary, fence, and or on the border road adjacent to the fence. You are instructed to move the tents and shelters array from the fence and the border road no later than 10 a.m. Mountain Time on January 10th, 2024. We are providing this notice in accordance with Arizona Revised Criminal Statute, blah, blah, blah. Conviction for violating this may result in a fine of up to $500, imprisonment of no more than 30 days, or probation at the court's discretion. Failure to comply with the request may result in appropriate action against you or these tents and shelters. Juicio de la Torre, Deputy Chief Patrol Agent, Tucson Sector, U.S. Border Patrol.
Fucking silly.
Yeah, in the last month, I would say, there's been a really amazing community effort to support what's currently going on here. So folks in Tucson have rallied together to do clothing drives, cooking a bunch of food, bringing it down to the wall. There's been people who have four-wheel drive vehicles driving down and supporting with medical care, making.
That's good. See, goodness exists in America.
Meals for 100 to 300 people every day. Yeah, this current situation would not be sustainable. It still isn't sustainable, but just like with the efforts of No More Deaths or the Samaritans, yeah, we really need community support. And it's been so special to see all of the people come together and help make this like disaster a little bit lighter on all of us.
An American-made disaster. Remember this fucking Tom?
Sources tell CBS News that South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott is endorsing former President.
Of course he is. He's angling for a fucking job in his cabinet or some type of sinecure. He might even be delusional enough to think that Trump will pick him as his vice president.
Donald Trump's presidential bid.
The former Republican presidential candidate ended his campaign back in November. Last month, Scott said he did not have plans to endorse anyone in the race anytime soon. The senator is rumored to be among the potential picks to be Trump's running.
I'm sorry, I just can't get over this dude's fucking teeth. He looks like Buford Blue from Forrest Gump.
Let's bring in Matt Gorman now. He is the former senior advisor for Tim Scott's now suspended presidential campaign. Good to have you back with us, Matt. So the big question...
Why'd you hire a white dude to run your campaign? That's why you lost, dummy.
Why is he endorsing former President Trump right now? Is he interested in the VP?
This guy is as dumb as a box of shit. Look at it.
Question.
Look at this fucking absent-minded smiley.
Why is he endorsing former President Trump right now? Is he interested?
And it slowly fades away. Look. Huh? Are you talking to me?
In the VP job.
Look, I don't work for Senator Scott anymore. I have no inside information on that. But what
This is the sign. Like when somebody starts about, that's the sign of a stupid person. Why would you hire this motherfucker to run your campaign?
I will say,
how much did you pay this man?
Look, I think this is an attractive endorsement for President Trump to have. He loves the state of New Hampshire too. You know, I know he spent a lot of time in Iowa.
I'm actually rereading the Black Jacobins now.
That was where we put a.
But yeah, CLR James is my favorite tribe.
A lot of our resources in the campaign, but New Hampshire was a place that he went up and really kind of fell in love with in a lot of respects. So he is somebody who I think has a connection to people in New Hampshire. So I'm not surprised to see him, if the reports are true.
Why don't American politicians know how to dress? Like they always have this. They always wear either a black or a navy blue suit. They always wear a white shirt. They always wear either a red or a blue tie. Maybe they'll wear a striped tie every now and then, every once in a blue moon. Those are from the fucking, like usually those politicians that grew up like in a traditional New England setting, or they went to an Ivy League. Maybe they'll wear a striped tie every now and then, a regimental tie or something like that. But like, it's just so fucking bland. Look at this. This is just a bad fit. It doesn't suit his complexion. Like, learn how to dress.
There tonight.
So I'm curious, Matt, there's, of course, still two other candidates in the race, including the former governor of his home state, his fellow South Carolina.
Even Kazakhs can dress better than the American clowns in suits.
Nikki Haley. Why not wait until the primaries shake out before making a decision?
Again, I don't have any inside information on that. But look.
Because he wants Trump to give him a job. That's why. He wants to be the diversity hire.
I think what we're seeing so far.
He wants to be the Ben Carson of this campaign cycle.
I will say this. One of the bigger elements that kind of changed when we were in the fall was when President Trump started, I think, winning general election matchups against Joe Biden. We saw folks on the ground in Iowa, for instance, who really loved Trump but wasn't sure that he could win. I think that took away an argument that we had and Nikki had and Ron had and others. And so it allows people to kind of go both with their head and their heart. I think that was one of those defining moments of the primary once he started doing that. Now,
oh man, shut the fuck up.
Welcome.
God, these people are just so fucking boring and bland and stupid.
Parliament passed a resolution of them children. On Thursday, the European Union Parliament passed a resolution calling for a Gaza ceasefire on the condition that all...
Shout out Claire Daly.
All hostages...
The one good European.
...be released and Hamas dismantled. This comes as Gaza enters its eighth day under a near-complete communications blackout, the longest blackout to date. Israel's continuing to attack areas across the Gaza Strip. This is a Palestinian mother in Khan Yunis after learning her son had been killed in an Israeli strike.
I'm hurting like a burning blaze. I told my husband, let's pray for Abdullah. He will come back. But it was my last goodbye for him. May God have mercy on his soul.
May God have mercy on all of us because we're not doing enough.
They took my heart from me. I was waiting for my son, but he didn't come back. I hadn't slept for 3 nights praying for him. They told me he's in the European hospital, and I was praying that it wouldn't be true.
In news from Israel, police have arrested 7 people after they blocked a major highway in Tel Aviv during a protest calling for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach an agreement that would secure the release of the remaining 132 hostages held in Gaza. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has...
So they want a deal. That's what all these signs are saying in Hebrew and in English. But, like, no statement of solidarity with the Palestinian people, no concern about the atrocious conditions under which these people live, just only worry about what's happening to your citizens because you live in a settler colonial state that's carrying out an active fucking occupation. I'm sorry, but that's simply not good enough. It sucks that you were arrested, but imagine being bombed every night or having a fucking Zanana plane, the observation plane, flying over your head at all hours of the day and night, making your life a living hell. Imagine not having any water, no food, no medicine because of a foreign country that is hostile to your very existence. Imagine that. But yeah, deal now.
Publicly rejected calls by the Biden administration for the future establishment of a Palestinian state. He called for Israel to be in control of the region from the river to the sea.
So when Palestinians say it, it's terrorism, but when Zionists say it, it's... well, that's their right.
Jordan River to the Mediterranean.
Therefore, I clarify that in any arrangement...
Also, did you all know Netanyahu has a Philly accent? He went to school in the United States. Philly, particularly. Have you ever heard him speak English? What is AGI? I don't know what that is.
In the foreseeable future, with an accord or without an accord.
Because leftists abbreviate every fucking thing.
The state of Israel must have security control over the entire territory west of the Jordan River. That's a necessary condition. It clashes with the principle of sovereignty. What can you do?
Many commentators noted Netanyahu was essentially calling...
Yeah, it's a genocide. I mean, what do you want? What do you want from me?
For Israel to control the land from the river to the sea, a phrase many Palestinian supporters have been...
You haven't seen it. And, yeah, Netanyahu said that just to mock Palestinians. What's going on in the West Bank? The IDF shot an American citizen, Tawfiq Abdul-Jabbar, a 17-year-old child, in the head in the West Bank. I didn't say he was from Philly. I said he went to school in Philly. He lived in Philly. And he speaks perfectly good English. But yeah, this kid, 17 years old, Tawfiq, he was from New Orleans. Well, Gretna, which is a suburb. And my question is, do we think that the president and Congress will call for justice and punish Israel for murdering one of our countrymen? Of course, we know that that is simply not going to happen because this presidency is about as effective. Well, it's very effective when it comes to repression of its own citizens. But when it comes to actually defending its citizens that are being murdered by a foreign country, no, nobody gives a shit. Especially if he's brown and Muslim. And then later on, I said that if an American citizen was murdered in China or Russia or Yemen by soldiers of these countries, there would be calls for consequences and retaliation. Or in the case of Yemen, which we're already bombing, escalation. An American citizen was just shot in the head. Shot in the head while riding in a car. He was not armed. He wasn't even throwing stones. He was just riding in the car. And the Israelis shot him in the head. An American citizen that you just let get killed. This is not the first time that they've murdered Americans. They shot Palestinian-American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh in the head in 2022. And they crushed Rachel Corrie with a bulldozer. An Israeli soldier ran over this girl with a bulldozer in 2003. What country would allow its citizens to not just get murdered by foreign soldiers without consequence, but continue to send its people's tax dollars to enable it to keep killing? There's a lot of talk about Namibia and Germany. Germany is the former brutal colonial occupier of Namibia. Namibia used to be known as Southwest Africa. It used to be part of South Africa. But, so here's a bit of context. This was also where Germany committed one of the first genocides of the 20th century against the Herero people, because they had an uprising because they didn't want to be colonized by brutal colonizers. You know, the Germans and the Belgians in the Congo, they used rhinoceros hide whips. They would kill a rhinoceros, they would skin it, and they would turn its skin into whips. Can you imagine getting whipped with the hide of one of the toughest animals known to man? Not a good time. I'd rebel against the Germans too.
Today,
fucking evil krauts.
White Namibians make up 6% of the population, but they own nearly 60% of the country's private land.
6% of the population owns 60% of the land.
And don't want.
You got a white person sitting in a wheelchair being pushed by a black person. Like, this could have been a fucking palanquin or a rickshaw. Well, they didn't use rickshaws in Africa. But like, this could have been a palanquin.
Give it up.
Being pulled by, being carried by native slaves. Now you've got this white woman being pushed in a wheelchair by a black person.
I'm from Namibia, born and raised. They want the land back? How? Sorry, but that's just, I mean, really? It's not even their land.
What do you mean it's not even their land? Whose land is it?
If they wanted their land, then they should have done something 100 years ago. And who's to say that the land originally even belonged to?
They did something 100 years ago, and y'all massacred them. Y'all almost wiped out an entire ethnic group.
Them. For all we know, there were people before them there who they took the land from. So
what Norbert said next is something I heard off camera from many Namibians of German descent.
I don't think it's right to call it a genocide. It was never spoken about, and then Germany or some Germans came and said, or brought the theme up again and made a political thing out of it. Leave us.
So the opinions of the Namibian people who are black just don't matter, because I don't consider y'all Namibians. Y'all are German settlers. So you're talking about other Germans. Like, why are you not talking about the 90-something% of black people who want y'all gone and who want their land back?
Alone, leave our cultures alone. We live in peace. We know how to live with each other. It's not necessary to stir and, always say it's genocide and this and that, and it must be sorted out.
Gerald Horne has a new book coming out, Armed Struggle, Panthers and Communists, Black Nationalists and Liberals in Southern California through the 60s and 70s. I am excited. Look at this. I don't even know. This is like some PETA shit. Why does everything, like, why does PETA protests and these Zionist protests, like, why do they all have to involve a half-naked fucking white woman? I'll tell you why. Because white women in the West are considered the paragons of purity and virtue. She even has fucking blood on her dress. This is a Zionist protest, apparently, like, organizing around freeing the hostages. It's an interpretive dance. That's definitely going to free the hostages. Maybe you should lead on the Israeli government to stop fucking killing the hostages. Do you watch and enjoy anime? 53% say yes, I'm a filthy weeb, and 47% are very good communists, and they say no. This is a good segment. Why aren't people voting for Biden?
So tell me, why aren't you voting for Joe Biden?
I am not voting for Joe Biden because I have finally realized
That man is a racist.
I'm not going to vote for someone who funded a genocide. Absolutely not. And I don't think there's any way he can recover from that. His best bet right now is to drop out of the race.
And why not?
Because why would I vote for someone that's calling for the genocide of my people? I'm Palestinian myself, so how am I going to vote for someone that's fine with the people of Gaza being slaughtered?
It seems like he has no regard for human life, especially when it comes to Arabs, and it's really disheartening the fact that we have to live in the U.S. knowing that this is how our government feels about us. In D.C., there's a bunch of homeless people, and some of the money that could have been given to Israel could have been given to these people so that they could get off the streets and have a successful life. It seems more that he cares about the people overseas rather than he cares about his own constituents.
Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, as I like to call him, he's not listening to us. And it's
I found a Trump fucking infiltrator.
not right. I can't name one thing Joe Biden has done that was good. Not one.
While he's doing this in Gaza, he's also still trying to do the border walls, and he's also trying to keep kids in cages. He thought that was going to be done with Trump. He's still doing it too.
The United States people have awakened to the fact that we're constantly facing the reality that we have to vote between the lesser of two evils, and I'm tired of making that decision.
He might be the lesser of two evils to you, someone living in America, but to someone in Palestine, they're the exact same, you know?
Biden's unwavering support for Israel's genocide has totally shattered his support among young and progressive voters. But supporters of Palestine aren't just planning on abandoning Biden this November. Many are revolting against the idea that they should have to pick between two morally reprehensible candidates at all.
And I have been a lifelong Democrat.
There's a lot of people lifelong Democrats that are not just abandoning Biden over this, but over the general insipidity of his administration. He hasn't done anything. Absolutely fucking nothing. Just an empty suit. He might as well not be there. Just let the fucking lunatics in Congress run this asylum. What? He's not displaying leadership on anything. One of his citizens was just murdered by soldiers of a foreign country. He hasn't said shit. He might issue some bullshit statement later, but he hasn't done anything to stop this war that he continues to fund, and which is almost entirely because of Israel. He hasn't done shit. So why exactly does he deserve our votes? The only way that you can continue to support Biden now is if you are heartless, if you are an opportunist, if you don't mean what you say when you talk about Palestine, when you talk about something else.
I have supported this man. When we found that he won, I knocked on my neighbor's door and we popped champagne.
Why aren't you pop champagne? Even when he was running, even before all this shit popped off, he was why the fuck would you get excited about Joe Biden? Why the fuck would you get excited about an old white dude? He looks like a ghoul. He's not JFK. He's not Obama. He's a fucking old white technocrat. Why would you get excited about Joe fucking Biden?
We celebrated his win. We were so excited. And today, you know what we do today? My neighbor and I, we shed tears. I will not be voting for Joe Biden. But the sad thing is, I will not vote for Trump either. So as a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, I really hope that we start thinking about who we can run on the ticket in 2024, because it honestly cannot be Joe. And if we elect Trump, if we stay home and Trump wins, Palestine will be even worse.
Joe Biden has utterly failed our community. We rallied behind him almost 4 years ago for that
Oh, we've got another St. Louisan in the house. Lovely.
election. He convinced us that he was going to be our representative in this country. We went so hard for Joe Biden, and we're all very much regretting.
See, I don't have this guilty conscience, and I don't have this regret, because I was a Maoist in 2020. I was a Maoist in 2016. None of this blood is on my hands. I haven't voted for president since 2012, bro. And that was the year I turned 18. I haven't voted for president since. I could proudly say that I have never voted for a white person for president. Very few people can say that. But, like, I was a Maoist in 2016. I was a Maoist in 2020. I had no, we did an election abstention campaign. Like, I just recently started paying attention to this shit to electoral politics and stuff like this. I made a fucking map yesterday, like with my predictions for 2024, and people were shocked that I didn't know that Virginia is a fucking blue state. Apparently, it's been a solid blue state for almost 20 years now. I didn't know that shit. I didn't care, okay? Because one way or the other, somebody evil was gonna fucking win. But, like, okay, my inclination is to see South and see red. But I have to pay better attention to these things if I'm going to be a streamer, because I don't like getting roasted.
Right now, so you're not getting any more votes from us. It's time for a different party. It's time for another choice.
As the two elite parties double down on their support for Israel, third-party candidates who support Palestine are surging. 3 separate independent presidential candidates attended the March for Gaza in D.C. last week to show their solidarity with Palestine.
We want to let them know that there's people around.
There's Black Albert Einstein.
Around the world who are with them, who care for them, and who are in.
Bro, when the uprising started, you literally characterized Hamas as, hold on, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up on my phone.
Solidarity with them. That's why we want a permanent ceasefire.
We have not only 2 zombie candidates that are being rammed down our throats, we have 2 zombie political parties which really have a stranglehold on our political process, but they do not have.
Okay, so I searched Cornel West and Hamas. On July 19th, 2014, he says that there is much blood on the hands of Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Obama, and Hamas. And the same day, he said that the rockets of Hamas indeed are morally wrong and politically ineffective. Those guys are fucking flopper.
A stranglehold.
I'm not voting for either one of these third-party candidates. I'm not voting for PSL because fuck PSL. I'm not voting for Jill Stein because fuck Jill Stein. I'm not voting for Cornel West because he's like your demented uncle.
They don't even have a toehold, actually, on the hearts and minds and the souls of the American people. And uprising.
Palestine now!
And of course, because Breakthrough News is basically a PSL-funded and controlled organization, of course, they're going to give most of the time to their own candidate. Shocking video shows moment New York City driver intentionally plows at the policeman. Fuck these cops. Ugh. I'm down for some cop slaughter. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, that soundtrack. Be careful, be careful. And then listen to this, the fucking music starts. Bro, what are you doing? What is this? Somebody will hit your ass too. Flacco the peeping Tom owl delights and freaks out Manhattan neighbors. I don't like owls. Owls give me the creeps. They can turn their heads all the way around. What do journalists in Gaza miss the most?
مشتاقين لكثير شغلات.
And look, an Afro-Palestinian. I'm seeing a lot more Afro-Palestinian voices being pushed to the forefront. It's awesome.
مشتاقين لقعدة الأهل، مشتاقين لرجعتنا للبيوت، مشتاقين نشوف أصحابنا اللي ضلوا أحياء.
مشتاق لأولادي. أنا صار لي يعني في كل الحرب.
This man has only seen his kids 4 times. Now, did you know that kids in Gaza are dying from stress-induced heart attacks? I'm not talking about 17-year-olds. I'm talking about like little kids, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds. They're having stress-induced heart attacks because of what the Israelis are doing to them. But yeah, let's go vote for Biden. If I don't vote for Biden, I'm helping Trump win.
في 100 يوم ما شفته من 4 مرات. قهوة الصباح مشتاق. قصة البحر على الكورنيش. سهرة الخميس مع أصدقائي.
مشتاق لعيلتي، مشتاق لبيتي، مشتاق لبناتي، مشتاق لأولادي، مشتاق لنفسي، مشتاق لغرفتي.
I miss myself.
مشتاق لعملي، لمكتبي، مشتاق لأصدقائي، اللي جزء كبير منهم استشهد في هذه الحرب.
نحن مشتاقون لعودة حياتنا الطبيعية. صحيح أن الحياة الطبيعية بعد كل هذا الدمار لن تعود.
احنا مشتاقين أول شيء لأهالينا، للمة العيلة، مشتاق إلها إنه الواحد يشوف أهله ويشوف أمه، يقعد مع إخوته، مشتاق أشوف بيتنا، مشتاق للطلعة في مدينة غزة،
مشتاق لأمي، مشتاق لأبويا، مشتاق لأخواتي لأخواني،
مشتاق لبيتي اللي اتدمر، مشتاق لمكتبي اللي اتدمر، مشتاق لنفسي.
I miss myself. Honestly, the journalists of Palestine, those are the people who need a Pulitzer. Apparently, this is the American kid that was murdered in the West Bank. I love how they do funerals over there. Like the entire fucking city turns out and commemorate you. Like they hold martyrs and prisoners in Palestine are held in high regard because they've made the ultimate sacrifice. These are Akkad, Gra, and ear snacks and their own unique twists in the West Indies, North and South America. You know, I'm fat. I like to eat. I'm not fat. I'm joking. So you've got Awisu, Banfubisi. These are like savory fritters. Apparently, hush puppies are derived from these. You've got Akaras in Nigeria, in Martinique and Guadalupe, they're known as Acras. In Brazil, they're known as Acarajes. These are called festivals in Jamaica, and in Puerto Rico, they're called sorullos. In Ghana, they're called kuse. So it's more savory than sweet, and you eat it with fish or a porridge. Yummy. You got ablo, or abolo. It's baked cornstarch and corn flour rice cake, commonly eaten with a stew. In Liberia and in the United States, we call it cornbread. You got ofam, sweet potato cake with pecan nuts. It's ripe, spiced plantain bread or a cake. Yummy. I love African food. You've got adakwa or zawi, which are spiced peanut butter balls. You got tatale, which are plantain pancakes. You got cassava biscuits, ayigbe biscuits. You've got muenmuen, tubani, in Latin American countries and Trinidad, which is not a Latin American country. They're called pasteles. You got wagashi, which is fried milk or fried cheese, which is frita leche in Hispanic countries. It's also known as fulani cheese. Every one of these snacks is healthier than most processed snacks. Try making some at home. I might. Shit looks dope. So this is the map that got me in trouble yesterday. Like I said, I did not know that Virginia had switched to a blue state. I did not know that Nevada was going red. But all the rest I got right. Give or take a few. But political science nerds like to nitpick because that's what they do. Who am I to begrudge them? This is the work of a plastic surgeon. This looks like something that the face butcher at the Ragged Flag in Riften would do. I'm never getting plastic surgery. The Washington Post reports that Israel has determined that it is soon going to be called Wasreal because it's going to now go start shit with Hezbollah now. Like full-scale, smelly shit. The nation saves you from Satan, but not from stupidity. Last night, I finished the 100 Years' War on on Palestine. And this was a passage that stood out to me. There was also the potency of conventional thinking on Israel and Palestine, entrenched in the leaderships of both political parties, and in the mainstream media, as well as the formidable power of the Israel lobby and the fact that there is no effective countervailing force in U.S. politics. Hey, I have a minor in political science. Judging by that map yesterday, I did not pay all that much attention. Any semblance of an Arab lobby has never been more than a collection of high-priced PR shops, law firms, consultants, and lobbyists paid handsomely to protect the interests of the corrupt kleptocratic elites that misrule most of the Arab countries. I need to change this music, I'm sorry. There we go. Most of these dictatorial rulers are beholden to the U.S. and are valuable clients of American defense, aerospace, oil, banking, and real estate interests, which have real and vast influence in Washington. These potent forces also lobby for Arab kleptocrats, but not for the Arabs, if that is meant by the peoples of these countries. So you had literal IDF soldiers running around at Columbia yesterday. They attacked a Student for Justice of Palestine demonstration, protest, and they threw skunk spray. Skunk spray is used by the IOF on Palestinians. It is likely that they were former IOF soldiers. Columbia did nothing to stop them from being on campus and endangering students. So the Students for Justice of Palestine post reads, if you smelled a horrible smell at the protest and you still smell it on your outside clothes, it's because you were stink bombed. This smell is likely permanent, and everyone who attended the protest smells it on their clothes, but especially those who were closer to the speakers. Hey, what's up? Kuwaiti comrade. They are going to be so cooked in Lebanon. They are going to get shredded in Lebanon, inshallah. So, yeah, you got fucking IDF soldiers that are allowed to come on an American college campus. Now, mind you, if Palestinians say the wrong thing, then they get shit canned, they get sacked from their jobs, and they have to deal with all sorts of bullshit. But these people are unable to come on our campuses in our country and commit crimes. This is Europe, according to Ben Franklin. So there are actually very, very few white people among us in this world. The English, the Southern Scots, the Ulstermen, the Scottish settlers, the Saxons, the Northern Germans, and the Dutch. Those are the only white people who live among us in this world. Yeah, don't lose your visa. Everybody else, like you got the notoriously swarthy Swedes, Finns, Norwegians, Danes, Russians, notoriously swarthy Baltic people, notoriously swarthy Poles. Okay, the Balkans I can see. The Balkans, like everybody I've seen from the Balkans, has been pretty dark. Notoriously swarthy Ukrainians, Belarusians. Belarusian literally means white Russia. There should be a dividing line in Italy. The northern Italians are certainly not swarthy. They look like Germans, but he also considers half of Germany to be swarthy. The Sicilians are basically Africans at this point. The French, I've seen some dark-ass French people. The notoriously swarthy Irish. Irish people sunburn in the winter, but yes, they're swarthy. The notoriously swarthy Belgians. The Spaniards and Portuguese, okay. The Turks are tawny. We hebben een serieus probleem met de politieke ontwikkelingen in de dangwet en ik hoop dat de komende dagen gaan worden opgelost. I can understand like 90% of that. That's the new fascist that's running the Netherlands. Why is Israel waging a war?
Shows Israeli settlers.
Why is Israel waging a war on Palestinian olive trees? Let's see. Yes, cigarette enjoyer is Serb. I strongly believe that he's actually a sock account for Ugopnik.
And destroying their property.
Since 1967, Israeli authorities and settlers,
I don't think Ugopnik works on a farm though,
have destroyed over 800,000 Palestinian olive trees in the occupied West Bank. The sheer number of trees they've destroyed over the decades is staggering. But these very olive trees have also come to symbolize Palestinian survival and resistance. Okay, so first, some background. Olive trees are hugely important to Palestinians. They've been cultivated in Palestine for thousands of years, and they're a critical source of income. The livelihoods of as many as 100,000 Palestinian families depend on them and their related exports like olive oil and soap. And then there's heritage. From the mouth-watering delicacies of Palestinian cuisine, to centuries of rich literature and poetry, to the gorgeous motifs present in Palestinian embroidery and art, olives are an inseparable part of Palestinian identity. One of the oldest olive trees, known by the name Al-Badawi, is believed to be at least 4,000 years old.
No, the Israelis haven't destroyed it yet.
Now, some of these olive trees are destroyed by Israel.
Not my imperial motherland, Max Shanley. I think the white people that were in charge here fought a war against you lot. Of course, I would have had to join you because you all actually did enable a bunch of us to escape slavery.
Israeli authorities to make way for their own infrastructure and their own towns, which are, by the way, inaccessible to Palestinians, or sometimes in the name of security. But a lot of this tree killing is carried out by Israeli settlers. These are folks who have been building illegal settlements on Palestinian land since Israel occupied the West Bank.
May they all burn, inshallah.
In 1967. And they frequently attack Palestinians and their property, while often benefiting from the full protection of the Israeli authorities. These attacks often happen during the peak olive harvesting months of October and November. Settlers either burn the trees, cut them down, block their water sources, vandalize them, poison them, or even bulldoze them, destroying Palestinian families' livelihoods. This is no joke. Though well suited to the dry climate of the region, olive trees often take several years before they start bearing fruit. The economic impact of their destruction is devastating.
This is the aftermath of what seems a pretty systematic attempt to destroy the livelihood of this olive grower.
All the trees in this orchard would have netted the farmer thousands of dollars this harvest season alone.
And then there's a whole other dimension to all this that we haven't even talked about. And that's how the sheer act of harvesting olives can be highly dangerous for Palestinians. That's because Israeli settlers, sometimes armed with guns, have regularly carried out acts of violence against Palestinian farmers themselves.
The Israeli settlers and military are over there, around our olive trees, so we're scared to go in.
Just recently, in October 2023, 40-year-old Palestinian olive farmer Bilal Saleh was shot dead by an Israeli settler while harvesting his own olives. And his story...
This is the shit that used to happen to black people in the South. Like, they hated us for owning land, just like the Israelis hate the Palestinians for owning land. And, like, you could be out there plowing with your fucking mule, getting ready to lay in some cotton or lay in some corn or lay in some tobacco, whatever the fuck it was that you grew to feed yourself and your family, and they would just come blow your head off and take your land.
Is not
like the parallels between the treatment of black people in the United States and Palestinians in Palestine is, like, I keep finding more and more.
Not an isolated incident. The constant cycle of threats means that acres upon acres...
Why am I so popular with Balkan people? Have y'all never seen a black person before? Does my milk chocolate skin appeal to you or something?
Acres of olive orchards sometimes go completely unharvested. Palestinian olive farmers are forced to pick between providing for their families and staying alive. It's so bad that sometimes international volunteers literally accompany...
I'm sorry, I cannot drink rakia with you. I have to go watch this black American make fun of his own country.
Palestinians while they pick their own olives just to keep them safe. And here's the thing. The Israeli authorities have a huge role to play in all this. For one, they rarely hold the settlers accountable for their...
Not just hold them accountable, but they, like, literally stand up and guard these settlers while they're fucking up the Palestinians' olive trees or shooting at them.
Actions. And the Israeli military...
It's complicit.
Military rarely confronts the settlers while they're going about committing crimes. If anything, they protect them and sometimes even assist them, financially or otherwise. Most recently, a right-wing Israeli minister gave them guns. Yes, this actually happened. Then there's the legal restrictions. Palestinians sometimes need to obtain permits from the Israeli government to pick their own olives from their own trees. And this isn't even mentioning Israel's infamous border wall, which has separated Palestinian farmers from lands and olive orchards that have been in their families for generations. So it's no surprise that the destruction of olive trees is tied to Israel's expanding occupation of Palestinian land and the erasure of Palestinians and their heritage from that land. By clearing the land of the trees or by turning a blind eye to settler violence, they paved the way for the construction of more illegal settlements. In fact, in 2023, before Hamas's October 7th attack, Israel had already set an all-time record for the number of settlements built in the occupied West Bank.
But we're supposed to condemn Hamas. And it's ordered in one of the commandments to not destroy food trees, even during a siege. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by wielding an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them, but thou shalt not cut them down. For is the tree of the field, man, that it should be besieged of thee? They're breaking their own mitzvot. point of view, you're a communist. I really wish people would know what POV means. Now we've got a Transylvania here. What's up, Dracula? He just took money from the homeless dude out of the homeless dude's fucking bowl. I am not going to be Ceausescu pilled. You know, the Kuomintang in China actually thought that this was a thing. Like, they thought that communists literally cucked each other. They called it community of women. Like, they literally thought that communist dudes shared communist women. Like, property. That's a sign that you view women as property. Oh, Max Shanley, you're an Irish Englishman? You must live in Liverpool. That was so ludicrous, I have to watch it again. Redistributed grade points. I do not have shoes. Comrade have shoes. I will take. He live on the edge of South London. There have been numerous conversations over the years about expats, mostly Westerners, moving to Bali and ruining the economy for the locals. They can't afford to live there anymore. There's a word for this. It's called gentrification. I beg black people to stop doing this. First of all, Indonesia, which Bali is a part of, is currently engaged in a war of genocide against our West Papuan brothers and sisters. Second of all, like, why? What are you doing?
To live in Bali as an American has been for about 2 years. And just for reference, $100 US is equal to 1.5 million Indonesian rupiah, so your money goes a long way. First up, we have rent, and for the past few months, I've spent about $500 a month, and that includes everything from utilities, housekeeping, maid service, all that shit, so you have nothing else to worry about. Next up, we have food. And while I am on a very strict diet, I still eat out for every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and still some way I've only managed to spend $450 this month, and I eat out a lot. Next up, we have transportation, and recently I did purchase my own bike, but when I was renting one, it would cost me about $90 a month, and then I would spend maybe an extra, I'd say $40 to $50 a month.
Yeah, this is fucking little Yugoslavia in here. Why is Kyle Rittenhouse trending? What has he done? Rittenhouse is a baby clansman whose own mother drove him across state lines to satiate his own bloodlust. This is a banger. Have I watched The Act of Killing? It sounds familiar, but I don't recall ever watching it. Black Alkan people rise up.
There were 3 people right there.
This dude was mortally terrified of a trash bag. Oh God, he looks like he's having a fucking seizure.
That's what I... That's where I run.
And then he sneezes. What did he do? Why is he trending? Oh. Daniel Penny did nothing wrong. He defended himself and others. What is happening to him is a disgusting and a waste of taxpayers' money. The charges should be dropped immediately. Oh, he's hanging out with cops. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office in Arizona. I think he was supposed to be going to school out there. Look at him fucking LARPing.
he's exhausted. But what is he training for, you might reasonably ask? And the answer is, I have no idea. He's not in the military. He's not with law enforcement. He looks like
He's LARPing.
someone said, hey, cosplay.
Hey, dude, let's just give the Pillsbury Doughboy his fucking gun and give him all this shit and let's just dress up the Pillsbury Doughboy. That's what he's doing. He's training for vigilante practice. He's training for vigilantism, honestly. Like, it's dudes like him that are going to be making up. Like I said earlier, that you are never going to abolish cops as long as capitalism exists, because money is always going to be very well protected. So money is going to be protected by the fucking Pillsbury Doughboy and his friends.
An alpha male, and he said, bet. He looks like someone typed, leave it to Beaver, but make it John Wick into AI, and it generated this image. Like, I think
he probably can't grow a beard,
basically
honestly. Just that whole milieu that he's in, and with his politics, like, if he could grow a beard, he'd look like that guy. But he literally probably cannot grow a beard. I know a dude like that. Like, he's like 35, and he might grow like 2 hairs on his chin. And he has a mustache, but like, he literally cannot grow any hair on his chin. 35-year-old dude has no facial hair on his chin.
doing what he was doing before anyone knew who he was, you know, when he shot and killed 2 people, and he's just being a cause patriot. But he's
a cause patriot. That's my de facto term for these judges from now on. But yeah, I said earlier that the police are not going to be abolished under capitalism. Even if they were tomorrow, you'll still be accountable to somebody with the ability to wield armed force, and they're probably not going to be a queer leftist militia. Do I support the formation of queer leftist militias? Queer leftist militias. Yes, the fuck I do. I want them to be established in every city, farm, town, and suburb. But that is not our material reality. What a lot of leftists do is they substitute the ideas in their head for what's actually going on in reality. So what's going to happen if the cops were abolished tomorrow? Okay, in a without rule of law situation, you're still going to be ruled by somebody with a gun. That's how humans work. If you live in an urban area, you're going to be under the authority of gangs like people are in Jamaica or Brazil. If you're in a rural area, you'll be under some batshit insane fascist militia made up of people that look like Kyle Rittenhouse. If you're in a suburb, you'll have motherfuckers like George Zimmerman or Kyle Rittenhouse loping around shooting everything with the black or brown face. If I recall correctly, Rittenhouse is technically Hispanic, but so is Zimmerman. Big corporations like Amazon will have their own mercenaries. Check out South Africa. I watched the video on this last night. They literally have private cops. Money and the people who have it will be well protected. Always. Yes, that sucks, but it's reality. Change it. If your reality sucks, change it. Don't sit and whine about it. Don't kill the messenger. Look at what they did. Look at how they massacred my boys. This is supposed to be Malcolm X. This is supposed to be MLK Jr. It's from this fucking National Geographic shit.
Reverend, we understand. We meet at last. We have been oppressed. We enforce.
Private cops, what an absolute neoliberal nightmare. Well, South Africa is an absolute neoliberal nightmare.
At the back of a bus so a white passenger could sit. Innocent black men are in prison.
That is not Malcolm. That is not Malcolm.
How many more have to be slain?
I'll probably watch this anyways, but I will not enjoy 1 second of it.
For America to say enough is enough.
We're in this together. How can I help you?
We will lead people to real equality in this country. To fight against oppression by any means necessary.
What you're doing is just.
I'll probably watch it, but I will not like 1 second of it. The United States says there is no sign of any deliberate Israeli war crimes in the Gaza conflict. This is the only reaction that matters. Strongly fuck yourself. This is sad. Our friends at PDX Saints Love are mourning the loss of 15-year-old Tyrone Briggs, who lost his life trying to save his family from a downed power wire that tragically fell in water near their vehicle on January 17th. Portland has basically been getting fucked by bad weather, winter weather. He was a volunteer with his community. He distributed supplies to people experiencing homelessness in Portland, of which there are quite a few. The world lost a compassionate young man. May his memory inspire us to help others. We also encourage you to support PDX Saints Love, who do life-saving work in East Portland. So what happened? He was actually, well, the baby was because his sister was saved. His sister had a baby who this young lady, Magia Washington, saved. But the mother was trying to get to the baby, but she slipped and was electrocuted. The 50-year-old brother was electrocuted. So, a shitload of people died. 3 people were shocked to death. The baby's dad, 50-year-old brother, and the baby's mom. And this hero, out of no concern to her own life and limb, rushed to save them. So, where's her medal?
My fall, and I didn't land on top of his father, but I kind of like my hands landed on top of him, and I just grabbed the baby. I pulled him up. I was swaddling him, and I walked him up the hill. He was just like laying down, like like laying on his chest, like to the side, and like I said, I just seen him move his head. I just thought like like I have a nephew myself. I have little brothers. Just I would want somebody to do the same thing. Like yeah, I would hope somebody would do the same thing. I'm just thinking that this is something like you see a baby, like who's not gonna go save a baby, but I guess everyone doesn't think about it like that.
I don't think the West will ever have a leftist militia outside of Haiti. I'm reading a comment. You lot are too comfortable. Malcolm X came at the right time because of so many homeless black people. That is the stupidest thing I've read all day. Malcolm X came about because black people were being beaten the fuck up by the police and were being murdered, and our churches were being bombed. Now, the Nation of Islam did do very good work to help liberate addicts from the clutches of addiction. But if you don't know shit about our history, don't comment on it. Brent Fayaz is this generation's baby face. That's another stupid thing. That's the second stupidest thing I've read all day.
Denounce.
Remember this guy? He got off with bias training.
My friends in immigration.
Really? Okay, go, yeah.
And to the Egyptian, the Mukhabarat wants your picture.
This guy's threatening to sick the Egyptian secret police on a halal food vendor. Very safe and normal person. This guy was a high-level official in the Barack Obama administration. So he's a liberal. He's a so-called progressive.
Okay, yalla, go.
Yeah? You know the Mukhabarat?
You know the Mukhabarat.
The Mukhabarat.
No, I don't know.
You don't know?
I just speak English.
No?
Yeah, go,
The
yalla.
Mukhabarat in Egypt will get your parents.
Go.
Yeah, he's threatening to fucking have this dude's parents killed.
Does your father like his fingernails? They'll take them out one by one.
يلا روح منين يلا go.
Why should I go? Why should I go? Tell me why I should go. I'm standing here. I'm an American. I have free. It's a free country. It's not like Egypt. Smile for me.
Now he's taking a picture of the dude. Like he's threatening to send this guy's picture to the Egyptian secret police so that they could torture his family and torture him if he ever goes back there. He's violating this dude's privacy. He's threatening him with violence. I'm surprised he doesn't steal the tips.
Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad did? Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad?
I speak English.
You only speak English?
No English, no.
You don't speak English?
Yes.
All right. Well, that just shows how ignorant you are. Because Muhammad was a rapist. It says in the Hadith, in your holy book.
Who Muhammad?
What?
Who Muhammad?
Muhammad.
This dude is playing with him.
Your prophet. You know who he is.
My prophet?
Yeah. He was a rapist. He raped Aisha. Does it say that in the Hadith or not? You know that?
I don't speak English.
What?
No English.
You don't.
I'm sorry. I would have sprayed this dude with all these little condiments down here. He would have had a face full of shit. Then I would have beat the fuck out of him.
Speak English? What do you speak? What do you speak? You speak Arabic? The language of the Quran?
The Quran?
Holy Quran?
The Holy Quran?
That some people use as a toilet? What do you think of that? People who use the Quran as a toilet?
This guy held state power in the United States.
Does it bother you?
Yeah, he thinks he's trolling the guy. He thinks he's trolling the guy, but the guy is trolling him.
Does it bother you? Tell me the truth.
I don't speak English.
You don't speak English? That's too bad. That's why you're selling food in a food cart. Because you're ignorant. But you should learn English. It'll help you.
Of course,
when they deport you back to Egypt, and the Mukhabarat wants to interview you for being
because I'm...
In Russia, dozens of protesters have been arrested after clashes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't do settlers.
With riot police in the central region of Bashkortostan.
Yeah, you ever heard of the Mukhabarat? What do you think of people who use your Quran as a toilet? Does that make you mad? Does it ruffle your feathers?
Thousands of people demonstrated there after an environmental activist was sentenced to 4 years in prison for allegedly inciting ethnic hatred. His supporters say that he is facing
ethnic hatred against who, I wonder?
Persecution for his political views.
Rare images from today's Russia, a country where even peaceful street protests are met with a harsh response. Police dispersing demonstrators in the town of Baimak with the help of tear gas and stun grenades. It all began after a judge sentenced a local activist to 4 years in prison. Fail Alsinov was taken into custody after the ruling.
My huge thanks to you all who...
Okay, so this guy isn't like ethnic Russian. He's a one of the many minority groups that live within Russia.
Came to support me. I will
Bashkortostan.
Never forget this. I do not plead guilty. I have always been struggling for justice, for my people, for my republic. So, God willing, we will see each other again.
As the verdict was announced, hundreds of demonstrators who gathered outside began chanting slogans in his support. Security forces intervened, and at least several arrests followed. Alsinov has been a prominent eco-activist in the central Russian region of Bashkortostan. He has also campaigned for the protection of the regional Bashkir language and condemned Russia's war in Ukraine.
That's why they're locking him up, because he condemned the war in Ukraine. They don't give a shit about his environmental activism. They care about him breaking the line and going against the war in Ukraine. Like, one thing I really like, yeah, America sucks, but at least we have the fucking First Amendment. And even though many courts wipe their ass with it, there's still some type of legal weak recourse. Over there, they have nothing. Like, it is 100% kleptocratic, oligarchical, dictatorship bullshit. So if you say anything that's against Putin, if you say anything that's against the war effort, now that they've got a war on, they can say that you're harming national unity or inciting ethnic hatred and shit like that. That's why I don't get those people that are like, that act like Russia is actually a very good place to live. No. Should the United States go to war with Russia? Absolutely not. Would I want to live there? Absolutely not.
He was sentenced for a comment considered racist by the authorities, but which he says was mistranslated. The ruling led not only to street protests, but emotional pleas by his supporters on social media.
I am calling on all fighters from Bashkortostan to leave the territory of Ukraine and return to their home region to defend their land and their people. While you are fighting for the ambitions of one person, your people are being beaten up by security forces.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people think Russia is going to balkanize, because they've got all this, like, these ethnic contradictions and issues that are going on. And yeah, Imperial Russia was a prison house of nations, and you see what happened to it.
Okay, Emily, thank you. That cold is also causing some big-time headaches for...
Dead Teslas pack Chicago area supercharger station due to frigid temps. I don't see why people still fucking go and get these things.
Chicago area owners of electric vehicles.
Yes, I never thought we'd say this, but it's true. As Dane Placco reports, the low temperatures have caused some headaches for owners looking to charge their cars.
Electric cars may be the way of the future, but it's clear there are some problems when it comes to charging them in Chicago's deep freeze.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots.
A bunch of dead robots.
Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored in other supercharging stations.
Now you got to stand out there in the freezing cold, try to charge up your fucking car
around the Chicago area.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster. Seriously.
Oh my God, he's pushing the motherfucker. Like, why do you keep going to go buy these things?
Temperatures falling into the negative double digits. These charging ports have stopped charging, leaving many Tesla owners stranded here in long lines since Sunday.
Nothing, no juice. It's still on 0%. And this is like 3 hours.
Bro, give me that coat.
This morning being out here, after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Has it been charging?
No, not at all.
It just isn't working.
At all. It's just frozen, and so I'm now getting it towed to the Tesla service center because that's my only option at this point.
Y'all dumb as hell. Look at all these black people. I love my people, but we gotta stop trying to do every fucking thing the white man does. The white man gets a Tesla, you want one too. Why do women in combat threaten you? They don't. I don't like women in combat who are going around killing other women in Palestine. That's all. This is my favorite quote by Mao. Who told you that Italy must survive after nuclear war? 300 million Chinese will be left. That is enough for the human race to continue. This was Mao to the leader of the Italian Communist Party. This is going to turn liberals more racist than they already are. Listen to these poor misguided souls.
I don't know where everybody got.
As black people, you know, we with Trump.
Yeah, I'm with Trump. I don't know what everybody got against him.
Yo, he was making the breadwinners, you heard?
I'm a Democrat too, but okay, we Trump. We need Trump back in office right now.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I with Trump, to be honest with you, bro, for real, Trump really did this shit. And I like him because he's about money. It wasn't about no politics.
Of course, these people were blatantly cherry-picked. But among a lot of young, lumpen, and working-class black men in particular, like, this view is actually very common. They see Trump as being an alpha male. They want to support an alpha male. They see, like, money knows no race. Money knows no race. And they respect him as a businessman. Like, why do you think Trump is hanging out with all these fucking rappers? Like, a shitload of rappers support him. Because he's about money. And this lumpen culture, it's materialistic. So, of course, they're going to view Trump in a highlight because they see him as somebody that made it, that enabled them to make money. You had the PPP loans. You had, like, a lot of people made money under Trump. A lot of lumpen made money under Trump. That's why they're happy.
He wanted to make.
That's why they want him back.
America great again. Through Trump.
That boy Trump, he making sure to get their bread. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking Trump for life. Trump for life. I ain't gonna lie.
Blood.
Oh dear. We're back in fucking dictators for life now?
Down to Trump. Trump wanted us to get off our ass and get some money. Trump 2024.
It's the truth. I mean, everybody hold a piece of money. You feel me?
Trump really a boss. So Trump running it how it's supposed to be ran. And people just can't take it. And he putting out facts in front of the people. He ain't lying to the people. People just don't want to accept the truth.
Trump, man, we rocking with you. Love you, Trump. My dog. T, what's up?
Trump put the money in our pocket.
Trump had the country on a better path as far as economically.
He put America first, so it makes sense. I like someone who likes to put his people first.
Trump 2024, my brother.
They know they can't get him for none of the real shit. We get it, gang.
I ain't used to like that. But now, bro, I realize that he meant well for the country and shit, bro. We need that back. Free Trump. Trump 2024.
They tricked y'all dumbass to get Trump out the chair, and now look how that shit done backfired on y'all dumbass. Trump got my back. Trump for life.
Down Trump. He showed us love, and he didn't stop. 2024 Trump. Trump 2024.
So yeah, he's got this whole like fucking rebel, this whole fucking rebel thing. Like he's the first president to ever have his fucking mugshot taken. That's going to appeal to people who've had their mugshots taken, or who are doing things that are liable to get you a mugshot taken. So it's a cultural thing, and liberals aren't going to get it. They're just going to see all these. We have to rein in these idiotic black men. Okay. Like that type of attitude, this is going to boost Trump even more. Like people have been saying for years that there's going to be a sort of black male turn to Trump. And of course, this TikTok video is again cherry picked. Like they didn't interview old Democrats, they didn't interview black progressives. But yeah. So that's where we are.
Baltimore.
I ain't gonna lie. Trump, my mother, dog. As much as they talk shit about Trump, he's probably the best thing for America right now, no cap, really.
Trump. My man Trump, he's gangster. I like him. I love him. Make America great again. Let's go. Trump 2024, Trump 2028, Trump 2032. Man, listen, Trump for life.
Yeah, let's just have a fucking president for life, a fucking dictator. All 36 Gaza hospitals have now been destroyed by Israel. This is Mark Lamont Hill.
Genocide Joe. Y'all can get mad, I don't care. And people, as he began to give his campaign speech, some protesters stood up and said, "Stop the blood in Palestine." Yeah. They said, if you're outraged by the blood of Selma and you're outraged.
America's dance with fascism is just beginning. The Patriot Front are in my city today. So what the fuck are you doing watching me? Why are you not out protesting them?
By the blood that was spilled in this very church, then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you giving them the weapons, you giving them the support, you giving them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it? They marched and stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too. How dare you use this sacred space? How dare you use this beloved pulpit? How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to...
Well, you should get tapped on. Stopping fascism is far more important than watching my bucktooth, gap-tooth ass.
Speaking out against injustice. How dare you...
Lenin.
You use this space as a shield for imperial war. How dare you use this space
This is how black preachers need to talk.
As a shield.
And stop inviting white people to our fucking churches and to our communities in general. But what standard of morality can the violence used by a slave to break his cage be considered the same as the violence of a slave master? So, with that, I have to get ready for work. It's noon, but I will be back on at the same time tomorrow.